Greetings, my champions, and I want to welcome you to Live with Shatufa. This is a platform where we give you just some quick updates of what is happening around. We usually give you a depth or analysis and commentary of our political situation, spiritual situation on our main channel, Shatufa Television Production. So Live with Shatufa is yet another sister channel where we just give you quick updates for you to know what exactly is happening around us. Julius Malema and the EFF condemn death of democracy in Mozambique. This really is quite very encouraging what we are seeing happening, because we have seen the liberation parties in Southern Africa ignoring what the situation that is in Mozambique. Mozambique is burning, and yet we have Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is the causing agent of problem in Mozambique, and who happens to be the SADC chair, turning a blind eye to the situation that is in Mozambique, which is quite very, very sad and pathetic. So at least we need to be hearing voices that are speaking out, especially opposition forces. They must come out and begin to speak out and call a spade a spade. If we have more progressive voices speaking against the stolen election in Mozambique and also the brutality that is happening in Mozambique, it would really go a long way. Sidia Chisungo reports that EFF statement on the ongoing protest and violence in Mozambique after October elections. This is a direct result of liberation movement now led by corrupt and self-serving individuals clinging to power by undermining democratic institutions and manipulating elections. The Mozambican government has failed to address the basic needs of its people, as evidenced by declining education, health, and economic growth. This mismanagement has fueled public outrage, which the state is repressing with excessive force. The EFF calls for Mozambican government and security forces to exercise maximum restraint and a high level of discipline in dealing with protests, launching tear gas from helicopters, restricting internet access to silence dissent, and using live ammunition against unarmed citizens is a gross violation of human rights. Such actions only serve to escalate tensions and push Mozambique towards a devastating civil war. So this is the statement that is coming from the EFF. And we say kudos to the EFF, definitely. Kudos to the EFF. And this is what is expected of many of our opposition parties, especially in Southern Africa. Let's have our voices heard. As opposition parties, we must come out, leaders of opposition and politicians of oppositions in different countries in Southern Africa, especially, and even in Africa, are supposed to be standing up and speaking on the Mozambican situation. We have selfish leaders like Mnangagwa who don't care what is happening to the people of Mozambique, and also Nyusi and El Chapo. These are guys that don't care what is happening to the people of Mozambique. But the loss of life definitely is something that must be condemned. We cannot allow to have more and more people in Mozambique suffering. We cannot continue to see deaths happening in the streets of Mozambique, and this goes unchallenged. We have seen this happening many, many times, and what really needs to be done is to ask or people to appeal to their conscience. We definitely need people that can appeal to their conscience and say, what is happening in Mozambique? Can it just continue to go unchallenged? Can we have leaders in these countries? We need leaders in Southern African countries who are responsible, who can stand up and challenge situations and continue to say, call a spade, condemn whatever is happening. There's too much that is happening, and lives cannot continue to be lost while nobody takes any action. You see, we are the Africans. We are the people that must be the brother's keeper. This attitude of just keeping quiet, especially if your party is not a liberation party, if it is also an opposition, we can't be allowing such a scenario to continue happening. And yet the members of the opposition and another fellow opposition party in a fellow sister country are perishing and are being killed by brutal governments and these rogue and evil so-called liberation parties. joining hands and speaking for each other is quite very, very important. You know, there is nothing that is as bad as having the good people remaining quiet when evil is happening. You know, when good people decide to keep quiet in the midst of evil, they are actually enabling evil to persist. So some people might think that talking does not make sense, does not change anything. It does change something. It pushes, it goes a long way in sending out a message to other people that are out there. So if more and more voices continue to speak, we will definitely get to a point where the situation may have some attention that is needed. Because what we want is an attention. We want an attention to Mozambique. We can't, as a world, continue to watch. We can't expect, nations of the first world, or the other European countries and other developed nations of the world to be coming out to speak on our behalf when we are quiet here on our own. That's why we were talking about the ANC, how the ANC would run all the way to the Middle East to fight for Palestinians, and yet they are leaving Mozambicans being butchered, and they are actually saying Viva Frelimo. That is hypocrisy. That is witchcraft. So it's insincere people. Where is their sincerity? If Mozambican people are dying and Figle Mbalula is saying Viva Frelimo, and ZANU-PF is saying they are celebrating and even going for the inauguration of Daniel Chapo in January. So Mozambican people remain on their own unless the opposition parties also come up and speak out. And also other prominent politicians and people that respect democracy all over Africa must be found to be speaking. This is exactly how things should go. So we are watching to see how far and how many other people are going to be also joining hands with the rest of the world to condemn the acts of brutality that are happening in Mozambique. So this is what it is, family. Quite very sad, the situation, but we thank God that we are seeing an upper hand on the side of the civilians in Mozambique. The Mozambicans are looking like they are really gaining ground. Let them continue to fight. Aluta continua. Mozambican people, we are with you in prayer. We are supporting you until you get back your country. Viva Mozambique. Viva citizens of Mozambique.